Live.
Welcome to another weekly episodes of Podcasters Unleash. We are podcasters from all over the world, real podcasters, real topics. And I have my fellow anchors here from African Investing Stories. We have Simon. Hello, Simon. Yeah,
Hello?
and from Women with Stories, we have Hala. She's in Paris right now.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, and between Scotland and England, we don't know where she is right now. We have Wonder and Wellbeing. Carla, how are you? Yes, and last but not least, we have Coffee with Matilda. Hello, Matilda. She's in Paris as well. Yeah, and I'm your host today, Victor Osio of Diaspora Entrepreneurs Podcast, and I'm talking about my favorite topic, digital entrepreneurship post-COVID. And we know how uncertain the times are right now due to the pandemic and lockdowns here, lockdowns there, rumors of vaccines and all this kind of stuff, social distancing and how it has affected work. So my first questions or our discussion today will be about how things have changed in the workplace and how skilled folks have changed into digital entrepreneurs right now. So today I'll start with you, Kala. You are or you were a career teacher for a very long time. How has it been with you pivoting towards digital entrepreneurship?
It's been pretty easy ways. I think the nature of my work before was really flexible. I had to have a lot of different skills, and you have to learn fast when you're a teacher because stuff's always changing, the technology especially. When I first went into teaching, everything was pretty much paper based. So we used to run to the photocopier, make worksheets for kids and give them crayons and paints and all that kind of stuff. And over the years, it changed to almost all being online. And so I had to learn in the last 8 years, particularly a lot of digital skills. I had to learn to build courses, do all sorts of connecting with students online and things like that. So when the lockdown came, it happened at the end of our spring term, and it was just easy for us to make the transition. But also, I've been working on kind of side projects as well for myself, at least 2 years before I left teaching. So it was just like a natural transition. Nothing really much changed other than the amount of time that I was outside of home, I guess. And also I did resign from teaching pretty early in the lockdown. I saw it as an opportunity to kind of get out and, take advantage of the changes in the world.
Wow, that's good. Hala, what about you? Women with Stories. So you've been working from home lately. What's going on?
Yeah, actually, I've been working for the past 6 months remotely from home. It's a huge shift for me. It's the first time I work from home. I've never done it before. And I find I have a lot of time for myself to create new content and to have new opportunities. So I have worked with a company online, so it was a really new opportunity for me to do it. And I think the ability to have digital platforms today is a must for entrepreneurs today to leverage their products and to pass through this crisis. So I think, like Carla, I found an opportunity, and even the self-isolation and the psychological effect that could harm us, I feel like I came out strong from it, and I feel grateful for it, actually.
Oh yeah, we all are going through this right now. Simon, how do you see what's it called? Digital entrepreneurship right now? Because I see you doing so many African investing stories. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Okay, yeah. So how do you see digital entrepreneurship right now?
I see it as something that is basically, if anybody who's got anything about them, with all this lockdown, not lockdown, can't go out, can go out, stay home, go home, all these different rules, the digital entrepreneurship is the one thing that is going to actually be stable, because you can offer your personal skills online to the 7.5 billion people on the earth. And I always hear many people say, oh, it's not for me, or it's this or that. But at the end of the day, it's an audience that's there 24/7. And, you know, any one time, a third of the planet is awake within reason. So I would say that's definitely the way to go. You just have to find your niche, what you love, and find a mentor of how to sell or produce or advertise or market what your product is, whether it's an actual item or it's something more. You know, I mean, that's what I would say. Hi, Yogesh.
Yeah, hi, Yogesh.
Hi, guys. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. So, Matilda, how has your work changed in the past couple of months now?
Well, to be honest, I'm a very social person. So for me, it affected me in my psychic little bit, because I like to wake up, dress up, and then go out and meet people. That's kind of a nice feeling, to be around coworkers and dress nicely, you know, superficial stuff. But, you know, it gives me a fun feeling. And if I don't have it, I don't know if I'm happy about it. Okay, we do it via Zoom, but that's not the same. Also, I felt like having a place every day that, you know, you have to wake up and go to this place at the office makes you feel more organized than you're at home all the time. I don't know. For other people, maybe they're more organized than me, so the difference wasn't there. But for me, it was just to get up and go somewhere makes me feel I can have control over my day. And I don't know. I'm still thinking about, obviously, entrepreneurship and how I can find my niche and maybe start a company online. So I'm still working on it.
Oh, that's great. You don't have to quit your job to become an entrepreneur. You can become an entrepreneur while looking inwards within your field. So yeah, today we have a special guest, Yogesh. Yeah, he's joining us from India, and he has an online education platform. Hello, Yogesh. Welcome to Podcasters Unleashed.
Hi, Victor. Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, and we've got Nelson just joining us right now. Nelson, can you hear us?
Hey, I can hear all of you loud and clear. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Great. And I'll be muting myself when I'm not talking. Great to be here. Yogesh, great to have you on board.
Thanks for having me, Nelson. Good to see all you guys.
Yeah. So, Yogi, we're talking about digital entrepreneurship post-COVID and how it has affected the way we work and the way we do businesses right now. And
right.
You are a digital entrepreneur. You've been using this space right now for education purpose. So I believe you have more experience, more than most of us here. So how did you get started?
Well, I think just to take a step back to pre-COVID, the movement of online business was already happening. And what COVID has done is just accelerate a lot of trends. So, I'd say just approve a lot of online business activity that was sort of previously being used less frequently. So, for example, obviously we know online meetings. Maybe you took them from home on the weekend, or you were used to going to an office and you're traveling, so you might have dialed into a conference call. All of that stuff has just become more frequent, and I think people have essentially been given permission to be productive, whatever their product or service is, utilizing the online world. And that I think is the first part of anyone's life, whether you're an entrepreneur, digital entrepreneur, or you're working in a company. On the entrepreneurial side, obviously, there's online businesses have exploded since the advent of the internet, naturally, in all areas. E-commerce is coming to my mind right now. Online learning has been steadily growing. And of course, COVID has brought forward a lot of things that were already happening. I think when you relate some of the things I've listened to here since I've come on, whether it's getting laid off from your job or wanting to supplement your income, the willingness to explore online entrepreneurship is naturally increased. And you have a global marketplace at your fingertips now, which can literally go with you everywhere you go. So I think more and more people are recognizing that there's tremendous opportunities. And you mentioned that you don't have to necessarily quit your job. Yeah, you don't. You can create and you can even experiment before you may want to go all into something without taking enormous risks. And what I've done, to be more specific, as you guys know, I own a football club, and I'm a coach, and I had a sports organization where we were providing physical education teachers to schools throughout the country of India. Now, that was a very, I call that a very analog business, where another human being who's trained by my organization is going to a school and imparting physical education and sports coaching. Probably a year ago, I think now, more than a year ago, now I'm looking at May 2019, I had already recognized how the digital world was impacting my industry. And I felt I needed to move my analog business to something more digital. So what do I mean by that? My coaches, we had an internal online training series of courses that we were utilizing in various forms to train our coaches and their ongoing training needs. And then we were deploying them in schools. Now, I found that there's really no reason why we couldn't create more of these training tools online and allow anyone to take these courses, not just people who I employed in our business. And so now we're training coaches all over the country, and that's related to sport. And I'm now, I'm also about to get into some other spaces where we're involved in training online online training for professionals. There's different ways to go about it. I mean, for example, you could record yourself on your phone and make a PowerPoint and put it up. And if you have the subject matter expertise, you've got yourself an online course. So there's really very little prohibition to entry. And then there's so many platforms, if you're an individual entrepreneur, where you can market your course. Teachable, Coursera, Udemy are coming to my mind. There's many more where you can take advantage of all the tools they have and put your course out there, and you're in a global marketplace. It is an exploding space, and it's something that I like because you're getting scale faster. You're getting to use your content over and over again. So that's a real asset. An asset is something that can continue producing income over time. And it's just getting started. The thing you're going to find, what I found, is it's still a bit of an immature industry. There aren't a lot of huge players. If you look from an investor perspective, my previous life, when I was handling bigger sums of money for investing, you might go out and say, hey, I want to buy some of the large companies in the space. It's not that big a space yet as it's going to be. Okay, and all the analysts' reports are that it's going to grow by billions and billions and billions. So there's huge opportunity. Doesn't matter And the other aspect of it is it doesn't really matter what your level of experience and expertise is. If you've got a niche where you have a certain amount of knowledge and you can help teach that, you can go out there and compete with anybody.
Great. I think you're like a third guy here now that have said niche. So yeah, we'll get to the subject of niche very soon. Nelson, you on a podcast called Investing in America.
Yep.
So how is the digital transformation when it comes to investing in America right now?
Well, it's a lot what what Yogi was saying. For me, it's a big equalizer. Okay, it's a very big equalizer. I have access to people. I have conversations with people that normally it would be a lot tougher to get to. And now, because of what's happening, that line, that curve has gotten a lot shorter. Okay, so now it's actually become, believe it or not, more personal. All right, I have access to them. They have access to me. So before it was a lot tougher.
So no more gatekeepers. That's what you're saying.
No, the gatekeepers are still there. It's just instead of multiple gatekeepers, it's less gatekeepers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I believe in human resilience, and we faced so many outbreaks in the past 100 years, and we've managed to create and adapt our ways out of whatever comes in front of us. See, over about 17 years ago, when the SARS broke off in China, Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, did almost the same. So whereby he instructed his workers to take hardwares home and fires as well. So they started building clusters. They started working from home. So I won't say they pioneered it, but this is what's actually going on right now for people like Matilda who were sent home to start working from home. Yeah. So now we've mentioned niches. I don't know, Simon, can you tell us how do we find our niche, or is there a particular way for us?
Yeah, there is really. A niche is based on firstly what you love. There's no point picking a subject that you don't love, you don't have any interest in, because you're not going to pursue that for very long. So if I've spoken to Yogesh, and he loves football, and football is a niche, and his niche is argumentatively the youth. So from what I remember, was it 5-year-olds to about 16, 18-year-olds? That would be a niche. It's a selective age group in a selective country where he is residing, and it's promoting everything about that. Now, your niche can branch off a bit. It can expand, I should say, because let's say in the case of football, you've got health, basic fitness, and the skill of the playing football itself. But but that is what I would say determines to be a niche. So, and if I use my experience about investing in Africa, I have a construction background. Excuse me. I have a construction background. So, even though investing in Africa, like the International Monetary Fund say, there's five main aspects where you can invest in Africa: infrastructure, agriculture, services, mining, which is a very hard one to get into. You've got to get past governments and various other things, and healthcare. But I can niche down into construction, infrastructure, and then it's like the type of construction. Is it major factories? Probably not. Is it warehouses? Is it housing? Is it flats? Is it masonettes? Bungalows. Or different countries have different terms for these different things, but this is how you niche down, and then on top of that, I look at the age group. So let's say I was encouraging people from London to go to there. what kind of people am I looking at? Is it a certain race? Is it certain age group? Is it the yuppies who want to have a holiday home on the east coast of Africa? Just niching down in that sense. And then obviously it's got to be financially viable, and you've got to be able to speak their language. So you've got to be able to be inside their mind and know how they think.
Oh yeah, because just looking at you guys right now, we've got different niches right now. From what I can deduce from what you're saying, Carla, what is your niche right now?
My niche is parents and teachers who deal with kids between the ages of 5 and 14. And it's all about the issues that affect their well-being. So anything related to well-being for parents and teachers. And that has changed significantly since I've started looking at it a couple of years ago. It was all about behavior issues and learning issues. And obviously this year, it's a completely different thing. Parents are facing significantly different issues from what they were facing.
It doesn't have to be static. You can still fine tune. That's what you're saying.
Well, yeah, that's what it's always about. It's about not only a niche, but it's about the problems that your niche has. It's about what kind of solutions they need, and where they're going, what's happening in their lives, and what pressure they're facing. And that's always been the job of business. I don't think that it's any different now than it's ever been, you know. It's about the job of entrepreneurs is to come up with solutions for people. And you have to think fast, you have to be on your feet, and you have to be responding to whatever needs there are in society. That doesn't change at all.
Yeah, Nelson, I can see you raising your hand. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'd venture to say because of the whole digital change, in some places it's flipped around. So, for example, when I think about Carla's business, before when it was analog, as Yogi would say, and Carla when she was the kids, right? But now it's flipped around. Now the focus on the parents. How can the parents be parents? Because the parents, you know, they have kids, and you know that's a biological thing, and on a Friday night. But they, you know, how can they be parents? You know, they got to have these kids for the 8 hours a day or 7 hours a day when the teachers had them. So now Carla's business is focused on, okay, I got to teach you guys how to be parents now. Because the kids are okay. It's the parents are the issues. You know, it's like Back to the Future. You know, we got to go back in time to fix your parents. You know, not the kids, the parents.
I get that. I get that, Nelson. I get that, Nelson. Yeah, Matilda. Yeah, Coffee with Matilda is kind of a niche. But what is your thinking behind it? What's the niche behind that? If that is your podcast, the name of your podcast.
Yeah. So I found I was when I was choosing the name or what my niche would have been, I thought about 3 areas. First of all, I wanted to identify my interest and passion. And I've been interested in self-development, self-love. I wanted to understand who I am as a person and why I do things the way I do. So for me, it was more of a discovery journey, and I thought with this journey I can take other audience as well, and we can discover, each person can discover themselves, because I believe everything starts with you and ends with you, and if you understand yourself you can understand life too. So I identify problems that people in relationship, because I also believe your life is, the quality of your life is in the quality of the relationships you have, the relationship with your children, with your parents, with your coworker, with your romantic partner. So there are lots of problems in this relationship that we want to maintain. And I'm trying to tackle different aspects of the problem, so I can give some solution to the audience as well. And then I try to research the competition, which I've found it like lots of people that they're in that kind of a niche with me. They are in a more serious topic, but mine is more relaxed. It's more like Coffee with Matilda. It's like you're talking with a friend, and this friend might come up with a solution or have co-hosts that can give you some solutions about the problem. So that's my podcast niche.
Oh, yeah, Hala. Yeah, women with stories. I guess there's so many stories coming up. Yeah. So what do you think about your niche?
I think my niche is going to change based on what's going on in the world. And I think women now are trying also to do investment, to try to go through this digital entrepreneurship and try to change, have more opportunities. So my ideal niche is to inspire young women who lived through different countries, how they adapt to a new country, how they start their own business, and how they are went through different challenges, and how they can inspire young women of today. So, and actually, like each interview I'm doing, I feel inspired by all these women that are investing right now and doing great things to the world. So, yeah, stay tuned for future.
Yeah. So I want to go
future
to our special guest, Yogish. See, you mentioned moving from analog to digital. So were the digital tools very challenging for you to adapt?
That's a good question. No, because today there's so many tools available. Many are free or have a very low cost to utilize. That a lot of them are designed for you to kind of do it yourself. You don't necessarily need a software company or something involved. There's self, I think, is it Wix or something? You can make your own website. I mentioned all these online learning platforms where they take a commission of your course sales, but you don't have to do anything in terms of the actual learning software. They have it all. Marketing even is often a part of what you're signing up for. Even with e-commerce, there's things like Shopify that are very affordable that you can use to set up your own shop. And we all know that Amazon and some of these other big online retailers allow third-party selling. You can drop ship. That means not even have a single good in your own inventory and be just a reseller. There's all kinds of ways to be successful, and you don't really have to have a high level of technological knowledge and experience. Now, the larger you're trying to make something, and the more scale, the online training business I'm starting has a little more scale. We do have some consultants involved because at scale where you were trying to serve a large number of people, sometimes there are trade-offs with costs and products and features, and you want to make sure you're making good decisions for yourself, because you may start with one level of service and you're growing or your needs change, and you may have to change your level of service, and there's different things that come into play. Do you change your product? Do you go for the next level or not? So those are good problems to have. It means you're growing and you're maybe serving a big market. But I don't think, I'm not the most technically oriented guy. I do okay. I utilize a lot of what's available, whether as a coach or as a business person. But I'm not as tech savvy as some of my colleagues and partners, for sure.
Just to jump in there, Victor, most people are somewhat tech savvy anyway, because everybody has their preferred platform, whether it's WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, which I personally don't understand. I met somebody who works for TikTok today. It was very interesting talking to her, but they know their way around that platform very well. So all it is, and it's an extension of understanding how to handle that platform. You can start off on that platform, if that's your monetization or your exposure, and then taking another platform, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, and just doing the same thing, seeing how user friendly it is, seeing if that audience that your niche is on there, and then just working from there. But like I said, most people are tech savvy there's always a minimum percentage of like the glass is half full, because we all use some form of social media, even if it's down to the old SMS. It's still part of the customer service. Remember, everybody used to get those annoying texts, come and buy this, come and do this, come and do that. That's original. That's like the Moses template of tech savvy. And now obviously we've moved on in generations to other things in that respect.
Oh yeah. Next, I used to using SMS, so you've adapted new.
Yeah. This is a question. I have it first for Yogi, but then for everyone else. So, I mean, we're talking we're pushing space shuttle kind of stuff here, these different platforms and so forth. And then Simon brought it back to, I guess, the first jets, maybe prop plane, but I'm gonna bring it back to the Wright brothers, that first plane. So, Yogesh, I mean, when you're talking online businesses, this is for everyone. That generally means working out of your home, right? Are we all in agreement on that?
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean, it can. It doesn't have to be, but it's conducive to that, right? You can
Right.
work out of your home through online
Right.
business. I mean, I have a partner who has an office for different reasons, but it's your phone, and your computer.
Right. So what I'm getting to is, now in the time of COVID-19, you're working out of your home, you got a family. What are your biggest challenges?
I mean, everyone can answer that as common humanity. I have a young son, a 1-year-old, who's very active and needs attention. You're at home, there's noise. In India, 50 people will ring the doorbell throughout the day, delivering something or coming to serve something or fix something. So it's a little more chaotic. And if you have a family, you can't lock yourself in the office necessarily, depending on maybe the age of your children or whatever. And in a COVID situation, you may not be having as much help coming home. So for me, the difference is, when I get a chance to work is very dependent on, do I have to care for my family at this moment? And if I do sit down to work, at any moment, there could be some kind of chaos going on. That's probably a big challenge. The second thing I'd say that you have to adapt to as a challenge is not being able to meet people in person as much as you may want to. I still believe there is a big difference to meeting anybody in person. There's a vibration, there's a connection element, an understanding element that no matter how much we do this online, for me, it's irreplaceable. So not having enough of that, getting comfortable with taking decisions without having that in-person interaction is something that I think is a challenge. Because how many times do you have a discussion with someone on the phone, or even it's a Zoom call or a WhatsApp call, whatever platform, and finishing that communication with, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow, or see you at so-and-so time at our scheduled meeting, because that virtual communication was really just setting up where you're going to have a meeting in person, which is really going to lead to your decision probably about whatever it is, whether it's a colleague or a business you're going to do something with. So that setup piece is over. Now you got to decide it virtually. I think that's a lot more challenging. And I think you got to spend a lot more time communicating to get that harmony and rapport.
They say 90% of our communication is body language, and it has been since the dawn of time. We've been speaking a lot less shorter than we have using gestures. So just put emphasis on what Yogesh has said, is that if without the body language, without that seeing and the little things, you're kind of sailing in the mist, if not the dark.
Without that firm, that handshake, it's not really done. Matilda, I know you were yearning to say something about social interactions.
Well, yeah, I feel like, even they say when you're having a problem with someone, I mean, a loved one or friend, you cannot just discuss it on the phone. It's better to discuss it face to face, and a lot of misunderstandings is solved. Imagine if you're having you have to make a very big business decision online all the time. I think that meeting face to face is very important, because I mean, sometimes that energy, as Yogesh said, that energy is important for your decision making. So, and it's not stupid that all these big companies, when they want to make very big business contracts, they like to travel. I mean, 8 hours, 10 hours to meet each other and discuss about things. They could have done it online, but they like to meet and discuss it face to face. So
it's the eyes are the
miss
windows
that.
to the soul. So you look in somebody's eyes, you shake their hands, you see a lot about them. Are they timid?
And maybe you have a lunch with them, or a drink with them, or a dinner with them, or coffee with them. That changes the game.
I would echo that, and just to add to the other piece of it, the other challenge is just discipline. When you have to go to an office and be there at a certain time, and you also have the camaraderie and the competition with your colleagues, you have to be disciplined. You're expected to be somewhere, and you organize your life around that. When you're at home, particularly if you're young, I feel particularly if you're younger, you may not be able to handle that freedom as well, and you may not be as productive. I've observed that where I've allowed in the past, before COVID and everything, I've allowed some of my younger colleagues to work from home, and what I found, in all honesty, was most of them were not prepared for that freedom. They needed to be in an office with supervision. So I also don't believe that we're just going to end the office and these interactions. I do think there's a big part of the world that's going to go back to them, because many people in senior management know what I'm talking about. And they're going to say, no, we're keeping the office, man.
I want to ask you,
Simon, just a second. Hala, what do you think about these freedoms?
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, great. There's a bit of inside joke there.
I think they can figure it out there, Simon.
Yeah.
We're a podcasting family here.
Oh, that's why I said not Matilda. Let's just move to Carla now.
I'm
Carla, what
crying.
do you think about the freedom?
This is, I think, one of the issues. I think that COVID has really shown who works and who doesn't work. A lot of people find that if you're a hard-working person, you're carrying a lot of other people's workload in the workplace. And one of the things I love about this is it's been a game changer, and it's kind of leveled the playing field. A lot of people have had privileges, they've had salaries, they've had positions, they've had offices, and they haven't done the work that's required. And they've had freedom, but they haven't been accountable. And I think that this is changing a lot of things, because now it's shown who works and who doesn't work, who's motivated and who's not, who's a leader and who's not. and who works for the passion of what they do and the love of the job, and who works for their salary. And even things like furlough and, you know, a lot of the things that are happening in here in the UK and all over the place, when it comes to money, a lot of people are realizing that you need to work for more than money. And that, I think, is going to continue to kind of change.
That is an excellent point, Carla. Superb. It's very true.
Also, in terms of values, whose job is in alignment with their personal values is also starting to emerge, and whether or not it fits in with things like your family life and things like that. For a long time, people have made sacrifices either professionally for family, or they've made family sacrifices for professions. And I think that's also been thrown up in the air, and we're trying to find a balance there. I know for me personally, I wouldn't go back to a full-time job working for somebody else ever again. Because it's not in alignment with my values, and having a chance to pause and reset has been a blessing for me in that respect. So there's some of the things that I've noticed coming out.
You know, Carla, I tell you, Carla, you make a super great point. It's the opposite side of the coin, right? You know, what the Yogi was saying was some of the younger folks need supervision, right? They need that environment. But then you have the flip side. You have a person who's great at putting on a show at work, you know, the razzle and dazzle of the mirrors, and they're great at shuffling the work down to subordinates, to peons, who may not be getting the credit they deserve. But when you go online, it's kind of easier to track and that accountability and say, hey, wait a minute, it's really, you know, so-and-so, whether it's the intern or the new person, the new guy, the new girl, they're actually the one, they're the one doing the heavy lifting. And then, of course, about the values right there. Yeah.
Go ahead, Simon.
What I was going to ask is in relation to what you said earlier, where you pointed out, Yorgos, about the young people working. Do you feel it's something that it's a training? So I was watching another podcast of Patrick David Beck, and he was saying basically you need to train your staff or have like a brief training session teaching them how to work at home.
No, I don't think that's part of the answer, but I think it gets back to what Carla said. If you have the passion and you like your job, you're going to be naturally inclined to spend time on it. The other aspect is just, do you have a disciplined habit? You know, there's a lot of people who go to the office and they're not productive. They'll take 50 coffee breaks and waste time and not do stuff. And you can, anybody who's like Patrick, who runs a large business and has had to run big teams, the people who are in those positions, we see what goes on. Now, in terms of the free rider issue of people who, Nelson was mentioning, they make all the noise, but they're not doing the heavy lifting. Even that, the best senior leaders know who's doing the heavy lifting. It's the ones who don't take an interest in that. Yeah, they're probably more prone to, the smoke and mirrors type of people who get in there. So I think leadership, virtual, not virtual, at the end of the day, when someone's in a job that they like, whether they're at home or at the job in some kind of office or whatever setting, that's always the best circumstance. But when they're in a job that's not really their calling, which is a lot of people for whatever reason, let's face it, I've done jobs that weren't probably my favorite calling. There's always that little bit of uphill battle for a lot of tasks and getting certain things done. Now, how you get that out of people, if they're virtual and at home, I think like Carla said, it's going to be very transparent that, hey, you're working on this and you're kind of doing it alone because it's a little harder to do teamwork. So you're going to get found out. If you're in an office and there's teamwork and someone's doing the heavy lifting, usually a really good boss is going to figure that out, or politics will figure it out for you and you're going to get found out. in some way, in all likelihood. So I just think the skill of getting people to be productive, it doesn't change. A leader has to know who needs the extra push, who needs the extra eyeballs, who needs to answer, a few times a day as to their productivity, and who can be left more alone and be given freedom. And that's why really good leaders are hard to find.
Yeah, someone just said leading begins with leading yourself.
Yeah.
So
One second, Victor. And going along with that, like Pat Ben David, he's prior military. So the military is big on training people, right? Because my background, military, Simon, some other folks, the thought process is we can't ask you to do something or keep you to a standard if we don't first establish the standard. So, for example, like for me, I work out of my home. I wear shoes at home, even though I have a no shoe policy at my house. It's kind of but if I'm not wearing shoes, in my mind, I'm not in the office. So I actually dress up. Today, I'm kind of like dressing down. A long sleeve shirt, I have a jacket, everything, because that keeps my mind that I'm in a productive mode. As soon as those shoes come off, forget about it. So
I agree with that, Nelson, and I think that's a good point. At the same time, what I'm saying is the accountability is more important. It's the first part. I'd like to put on a suit. I can't because my son might uke his milk all over it 2 seconds later when I have to pick him up. But I get what you're saying. If that works to get you motivated and in the zone and productive, then you got to do it.
yeah.
But it's the accountability. What do you got to deliver that day? Let's say you don't have a boss even, and you're just an entrepreneur. What have you set as your goals, and when did you decide you need to finish that by and get it done? And you got to be accountable to yourself then.
Yeah. So time's going right now, so we just need one last word from everyone. Yogi, you mentioned that given the current situation that we are right now all over the world, for you to start doing your own stuff as an entrepreneur, you just need a mobile phone and a subject matter expert, an SME. Then boom, you have a course or you have a business. Matilda, what do you think? We just for just 1 minute.
I think it's important to know what you love and what are you passionate about, so you can start working on your project and not feel like you're putting a lot of hours. It comes automatically and naturally.
Boom. Yeah, Nelson, what do you think about that?
I think it's true. We need to put some self-imposed timelines, to launch things. Kind of put whether it's stress, pressure, guidelines. I'm kind of searching for the word here, but to keep us on track, to be able to keep us going, and really maybe like a handrails, right, or a little map to keep us on the right track. The one thing, the bad thing is that the online is the ultimate water cooler time waster. Okay, so that's the danger of it right there.
Yeah, Hala, we didn't get you to say something the last time, but what do you have to say in regards Yogi's? It's just a one-liner. If you want to start an online business these days, it's very easy. Just make sure you're a subject matter expert, know your niche kind of, and with a selfie or just a mobile phone, boom, you're in business. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I learned is we need to hold ourselves accountable. So it's not about showing up every day to work and work every day. It's like holding ourselves accountable and working towards something we're passionate of. And all of these things we didn't learn in the schools or in the public systems. So when we have all this freedom, we are like all over the place. We want to do everything. But the problem is that in our childhood, we didn't learn about how to be accountable, how to be more creative, how to look for things we are passionate about. So yeah, now we are doing it, but in the education system, there is no such thing like that.
Okay, great. Carla, I'll come to you, but Simon, what do you think?
It's something they used to tell us in the Marines, in the Royal Marines, is if I have to motivate you, you shouldn't be here. And I would say, in the sense of, if you're going to be an digital entrepreneur and you feel that someone needs to motivate you to do the job, you're in the wrong business. You should be self-motivated. You're wasting your time.
Yeah. Carla, how do you hold yourself accountable? No. What do you think?
Which one do you want me to answer?
See, starting the digital business, becoming an online entrepreneur right now with the mobile phone, being a subject matter expert, and you have a business.
I think that it's a time in the world for people to align their work with who they are and their values. I think that's what's gone wrong quite a lot in the world with just so many things that we've been experiencing. I think it's caused by the way that people view their work and the lack of values and the lack of alignment between the personal life. We've heard this thing about work-life balance, but it's overused and people don't really analyze what it means in depth. To dislike your job or to have a mismatch between your personal values and what you do for a job has had a significant impact. And I think if anything should change as a result of what we've seen happen in the last year, I think that should change. People should really take stock of who they are, what their personal values are, and how that links to their work. And we should see an end to that mismatch or disconnect between those two things.
That's why I'm going to add this to Carla. You should listen to my podcast to figure out who you are, what is your values, so you can figure out your business.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that, Matilda. Yeah, maybe one last word. What do you have to say?
I just share personally what I found over time. To Carla's point, it's the ideal, and it's harder to do than to know it, because there's lots of considerations. And I think the challenge with, as Carla said, working in a job that you don't necessarily like and doesn't align with your values, the challenge in today's corporate world, which has been maybe for the last 20 years probably, the demands on your time by that job, because you're available and it's expected, it's very difficult to satisfy your needs for other things, whether it's time for your family or it's a hobby. In the earlier decades, like when I was a child, I mean, my father had the ability to work a job as a scientist, have his weekends, and he had like multiple hobbies because he was home by 5 p.m. But today, if you're any kind of professional, the idea that you can just have that kind of time, it's highly unlikely for most people. Because usually you're going to get home, even if you have that time, you're going to be so, maybe you were deprived of that time for 3 days of that week, and you finally got those extra hours. You're probably going to want to spend it with your family or whatever, work out, whatever it might be. And, so what I'm saying is I kind of really agree with Carla that we're in the best opportunity we've ever been in the world, I feel, and I think I've said this before with some of you, to start your own business with a low cost of entry, a low skill requirement to entry, right? And you can stay in your job and kind of start it and feel your way through. You don't necessarily have to go all in and take that risk, especially if you can't, but you can work to it. So my final word is jump in and do it. Go for it.
just a quick, just tell us in one sentence or about your podcast. Simon, let's hear about your podcast. Just one sentence.
Investing in Africa. That's what it's about from around the world.
Okay. All right. Carla, your podcast, and where can they find you?
Wonder and Wellbeing, wonderandwellbeing.com, and it's all about improving teacher and parent well-being so that kids can get the best, because their parents and teachers are at their best.
Great. Hala, what about yourself?
Well, Women Stories. So you can find on different platforms. So I interview women entrepreneurs around the world.
Great. Matilda, what about yourself? You're mute. I can't hear you.
Find who you are and value who you are. And you can find me, Coffee with Matilda, at Journey to Self podcast, and Instagram as well.
Yeah. Nelson, by yourself?
My podcast is called Investing in America. You can find me on Spotify and iTunes, and it's on the life cycle of investing in real estate in the United States. I also bring on board entrepreneurs who have nothing to do with real estate, because they always have some really good ideas and business practices, to include people in other areas that impact us. So I've had relationship folks, relationship coaches, peak performance coaches on as well. Investing in America, and you can find me on Spotify and on iTunes. Thank you.
Yeah, and our special guest today, Yogesh. Yeah, tell us about your podcast.
Rupee Ball Show, iTunes, Spotify, Castbox, Anchor. Check us out. I've been on a hiatus, but there's still a ton of great interviews on there with a lot of great content for coaches and players in sport.
Great. And I am your host today, Victor Sio, the host of the Diaspora Entrepreneurs podcast for Africans and Caribbeans that are in the diaspora. I'm looking to ditch the 9 to 5 and follow the platform. Yeah, that is me.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, thank you very much. So until next week, same time, I would say that's the end of the show. Goodbye. See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah.